السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كل نفس ذائقة الموت. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى: كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في دعائه: اللهم إني أسألك حسن الخاتمة وخاتمة. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: اللهم لا عيش إلا عيش الآخرة. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إنما الأعمال بالنيات، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Anytime we are at a janazah, because usually that's when it comes up, so we're going to break away from that and actually put it in a khutbah, inshallah. كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Everyone will taste of death. This is a fact. This is reality. This is truth. You and I may have different experiences throughout our lives, but in this thing, we will all of us, have that experience, the experience of death, just like the experience of birth. What happens in between? There's differences. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is letting us know that you are here. Now, mind you, this comes in in multiple places in the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we have to remember that nobody knows us better than Allah. Nobody knows us better than the one who knows everything. He is وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. So in terms of our faults and our shortcomings, our potential or that thereof, like our proclivities and our leaning, the ways that we lean, all of these things are known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no secret from Allah. There is no hidden fact. There's no hidden matter. There's no hidden idea from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You and I are not even capable of thinking anything. First of all, without Allah. Second of all, without Allah knowing. Makes sense though, doesn't it? If he's the one who's giving us the ability to be able to think it in the first place, common sense tells you that he knows what you're thinking. So now this same Allah is the one who is reminding us why. Because we have become slaves to hissiyat, sensory perception. I value what I can see. I value what I can touch. I value what I can hear. I value what I can even spend. Because that is a sense of power. It is a sense of authority. It is a sense of ability even. Our perception is the drug that we are intoxicated off of. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this is the cure for your disease. This is the cure for your sickness. This is the cure for what ails your heart, your mind, your worldview, your perception. And what is that? Dhikr al-maut. Remember death. Why? Because you will face that. And it might be today. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, Kullu man alayha fan. Everybody on this, Kullu man alayha fan. What? Obliterated. Fan, completely pulverized, obliterated. Dust in the wind. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. But the wajh, the face of the countenance of your Rabb is always going to be there. Eternally. Beyond even our concept of time and space. So which of the favors of your Lord are you going to deny? You have to end. He does not. So now Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he is saying in his dua that, oh Allah, I am begging you, I'm asking you for the most excellent of endings. And he says he's in his dua, oh Allah, there is no life except the life in the akhirah. And then he says in his dua, he says that, now you're going to hear a different translation. The external is based on the internal. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The external world does not matter. Bil Arabi, you say the zahiriyya wa batiniyya. The outward or external aspects and then the internal aspects. So you can now translate and understand this hadith that the external world only matters because of the internal world. So if you are caught up and you are lost in the external world, if you think it is about money, power, politics, social status, your achievements in this dunya, kullu man alayha fan. And if you don't believe it, where are the achievements of the people who lived before us? And even if the vestiges or the residue of those achievements are still with us today, you don't even remember their names. Nor do you care. If I was to ask you who invented the computer or the cell phone or this thing or that thing that you use on a daily basis, you don't know and you don't care. Neither do I. What does that tell us about human nature, human civilization, and the way that we look at people in the past? They're gone. Their time is over. It's done. They're finished. Bye-bye. See you later. That's the attitude. It's my time. This is my world. It's my time to shine. I'm living my best life. I'm doing my thing. I want to have an impact. Allahu Akbar Kabira. That mentality in and of itself is proof positive of the depths of corruption that is possible in the heart of a Muslim. Because a Muslim understands through our aqeedah. A Muslim understands from the ghaib. From the ghaib? From the unseen? How do you understand something from the unseen? Because this is who Hidayah is for. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There's no doubt in it. People may have doubts in their own hearts, in their own minds, but there's no doubt in the Quran itself. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. It's only going to be guidance for the people of taqwa, the people who want it. The people, now taqwa, is that external or internal? You say the people of wealth and affluence, the people with degrees, the people of a certain skin color, the people of a certain family name, the people from a certain country. None of that is there. The people of taqwa, that is internal, it is not external. Iman, is it internal or external? It is internal. Tawakkal ala Allah, is it internal or external? It is internal. Ihsan, is it internal or external? It is internal. So when we have all of this terminology that actually pulls us and demands us to focus on the internal aspects of our deen, that is our priority and that is where our focus is supposed to be. How is it that now we are so distracted in a state of ghafla, that we are so preoccupied with the external world that we are starving to death and slowly killing ourselves internally? And nobody seems to care until when? Until reality comes and busts the bubble. Somebody dies. You lose your job. There's financial problems. There's a health diagnosis. Now all of a sudden, that's when people start lining up. That's when the ulama become busy. Not before that. Now you have a problem. Now you have an issue. And now you want Islam to all of a sudden come to your beck and call. Now all of a sudden you want Islam, you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've been disobeying Allah. I've been ignoring Allah. I've been completely preoccupied with this dunya. I have not been thinking about my death, but now I am finding difficulty. Not in my deen, not in my akhirah, my dunya. And now I will respond. Now I will look at the deen after I've tried everything else. After I've exhausted my means, my intelligence, my resources, now I'm going to turn and I will say, oh, help me. And ulama ikram, may Allah ta'ala bless them. May Allah preserve them. Because most of the time they're thinking the same thing. I remember you. I remember you sitting in the khutbahs. I remember you in the masjid. And that's for the good ones, mashallah. I remember you on Eid. I remember you on Ramadan. I remember talking to you. I remember when you came advice before you even got married. I remember all of this. And I also remember you didn't listen. I also remember you didn't act. I also remember you didn't care. You didn't have time. You didn't have time for deen. You didn't have time for learning. You didn't have time for change. You didn't have time to address your personal issues. I'm busy. I got this thing, I got that thing, you know, I'll get back to you. Like if I have time, then this like, and after I get done with this thing, it's always after something. But the ajib thing happens though, when their external world, when they perceive that their external world is now crumbling down around them, now this is when they come and I want a deeni solution. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, the solution is simple. Stop what you're doing. Stop the insanity. Stop the madness. Because if not, what generally happens, ulama are going to give advice based on the situation. They're not going to send them away. God forbid, they're going to look at them like down on them. It's like, you didn't listen, please go away. Don't do that. You still advise. What happened before is between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You still advise. So now you give them the advice. Now sometimes they're actually going to put it into practice and they'll get the benefit. And they're so happy when they get the benefit. Shaykh, mashallah, I did X, Y, and Z just like you said. Now this thing happened and that thing happened and this thing improved and that thing improved. Allahu Akbar kabira and alhamdulillah, mashallah. And then what does he do? What does she do after the problem is over? revert right back to the same mentality and the same lifestyle and the same priorities that got them into the problem in the first place. Because that's all they really wanted. They didn't want a law. They didn't want to change. They weren't working towards their akhirah. They just wanted a solution for their external problem. And I had an alim, a visiting alim from out of the country this week. He said to me, it is one of the most profound statements I've heard in quite some time. And he's a young brother. He says, as we're having a conversation, a discussion, he says, it seems that Muslims today, that Muslims want Islam around them, but not in them. He completely, the conversation was over at that point. I said, brother, you just said so much right there in one statement. Like, I'm probably going to be thinking about this for months. Muslims want Islam around them, not in them. So they'll work for the Islam around them, but they won't work for the Islam that needs to come in them. It's a very interesting statement when you think about it. How much effort we put into the external world and even the external understanding of our Islam. People will fight over nuances of salah, right? I'm raising my hands or I'm not raising my hands, or my feet touching or not feet touching. And both of them are acceptable. And they're fighting and they're bickering in the masjid. And adab al-masjid, the etiquettes of the masjid have gone out of the window. Akhlaq has gone out of the window, completely out of the window. And meanwhile, they're fighting and arguing over some external aspect of deen, which is insignificant. So actually they're expressing their jahalat, their ignorance. Meanwhile, the internal aspects of deen are being neglected. Their own growth and maturation and internal development is being affected, because I want you and I to think about this. If you and I want to go to Jannah, if you and I want that excellent end that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asking for, and by default, because we follow his sunnah, we also should be asking for it. Here's something to think about. You and I will notice is if we were to go to different neighborhoods, you will see that the people are suitable for the neighborhood. There is an understanding this neighborhood is this type of people, right? So you get a collective understanding of that neighborhood from the people that inhabit that neighborhood. Even if you're moving, it's something that you take in consideration. Do I want to live around this type of people? Obviously, this type of neighborhood is these type of people. Consider this. Status in Jannah, because we're always like, may Allah give you Jannatul Firdaus and Jannatul Na'im, and right, we were making all these lofty du'as, and it's like, wa tamanna ala Allah. But now let's talk about the actual work involved. Let's talk about what's necessary for us if we're actually serious about being close to Allah. If we're serious about the pleasure of Allah. If we're serious about our meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here it is. Every last one of those levels, it is the people who are appropriate for that level that will reside on that level. Hence, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in terms of his relationship with Allah, in terms of his purity, nobody tops him. So there's nobody closer to him than to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because that is who he is. And who he is, that's the status he gets in Jannah. That's where he resides. Now, who are you and I? In terms of our purity of heart, in terms of our desire and our actual efforts to develop a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what level of Jannah do you and I belong on? If any. Allahumma ajirna min an-nar. May Allah ta'ala save us and protect us from the hellfire. Are we now actively developing a relationship with the creator of the universe by putting our deen into practice and actually experiencing Islam? Are we going through that necessary process of tazkiyah to purify our hearts from everything? Shirk and kufr and nifaq and our own selfishness. The indoctrination that is taking place over the course of our lives. The erroneous notions that have been implanted there. The worldview, which is extremely suspect today from Muslims. Why? Because we are going through it right now, and it's probably going to get worse. So I said all of that internal stuff to do what? Because this is how we handle the external. You handle the external world through your internal devices, through the internal mechanisms. If you do not believe it, look at Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Every time any difficulty, what did he do? Salah. He would go to the masjid, make 2 rakats. It didn't matter what the problem was. His solution was first turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, are our masajid becoming more full? As the situation continues to deteriorate and erode around us. You look at what's going on in the different parts of the world. Look what we think everything is comfortable here. Look at England right now. If you think the world can't change overnight, Allahu Akbar Kabira, you are more delusional than I thought. May Allah protect us and save us from our own self-delusions. It's happening right now. The world is changing. If you think that just because you want it to, that it's going to keep going on like this with your comfort and your conveniences and your luxuries and the ability to decide, oh, I want to do this and I don't want to do that and I like this and I like that, then what happens when the day comes when that notion is now shattered into 1,000,000 pieces? What will be left of the person? Nothing. Because there was nothing behind that. There was no substance. There's no depth. There's no character. It's just selfishness and hubba dunya. And now that you don't have access, it doesn't have an ability to manifest itself. Now you are all the way retrograded, all the way backed out. Now, what are the essential understandings of a man, a woman, a Muslim? For what? Survival. And not for a Muslim, we don't just survive. That's what other people do. As a Muslim, in any situation, we're looking to thrive. Not survive, thrive. Because that's what the deen does for us. And that's what it does to us. We thrive. And then no matter what Allah Ta'ala puts in front of us, we will thrive. Because of the barakah of this deen. Because of the truth of Islam. And then our masajid, and this is what we'll be talking about tonight, adab al-masjid. The etiquettes of the masjid. And it seems like, well, how are these things related? Because when you think about it, the masjid, out of all of the homes, and what should be the purest place, the best place, if you want to find the akhlaq of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you want to find the teachings of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you want to find everything being put into practice, if you want a place of peace, if you need advice, if you need help, where is that place supposed to be if not the masjid? So now the question for all of us is, number one, when we come to the masjid, are we givers or takers? Yeah, takers. And it's wrong. And it's selfish. And it's despicable. It's ugly. And God forbid that non-Muslims are coming in and seeing it from us. Just takers. Who are the takers? They're the ones that they're getting ready to fight in the parking lot. They're the ones that will urinate on the toilets. They're the ones who throw their shoes all over the place. They're the ones that after drying off after will throw their napkins on the floor right next to the garbage can. They're the ones who will argue with the administration when the administration is actually trying to do something to benefit the whole. But now this selfish individual is saying, well, I don't like that. Well, Allahu Akbar Kabira. We have to act for everybody, not just you, brother. Those are the takers. They're the ones who come into the masjid And now that they will complain about what time the Imam comes and what he decides to read in the Salah, and how come you didn't read this, and how come it wasn't shorter, and how come it wasn't longer, and why didn't you stay in ruku longer? Sajda was too short. They complain about everything because selfish people have unrealistic expectations. They expect things from other people, but they cannot tell you what to expect from them. But you'll see it. You won't like it, but you'll see it. We see it all the time. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما بعثت لأتمام مكارم الأخلاق أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The only reason why I've been sent is that your akhlaq, who you are, how you are, should be ennobled. You should start acting like people of Jannah now. Decide who and how you are according to where you want to be in your Jannah. If you want Jannatul Firdaus, then you must strive for the akhlaq of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you want answers to your problems before the problems arrive, put your deen into practice, and maybe you won't even have to deal with it. By the fadl of Allah, by the rahmah of Allah, that thing is now diverted from you. All the solutions are in this deen. Our masajid have got to become focal points for the internal first. And education in Islam. Once we have accomplished that, then collectively, without a lot of fussing and fighting and arguing and pettiness and blah, 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 we will actually be able to sit down collectively and address all of our exterior issues, all these external issues. And we'll do it through deen. And we'll get the barakah from Allah and the rahmah from Allah and the nusr from Allah. Why? Because we're doing it the way Allah wants. We're doing it the way Allah wants, not the way that we want. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from our selfishness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from disunity. Save us from looking at the asbab without looking at Him, al-musabbib. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts and our minds to the beauty of Islam, to the purification, the system of purification that exists in Islam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to be able to actualize that system and receive all the benefits from the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakum Allah khairan jaza wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I will request stand up, line up. There's brothers standing outside on the hallway. We want to accommodate them as well. Jazakumullah khairan. Couple of important announcements. First one is, as Shaykh Khalid said, tonight we have a family event at Masjid Huda. Shaykh Khalid will be speaker tonight after Maghrib Salah. It's about being a rahmah, coming to the masjid and etiquette for masjid and doing salah. It's a family event. Refreshment will be served after the event, inshallah, after Maghrib. Shaykh, go ahead.
It is interactive. We did it last month, right?
Yes.
We did interactive. So, mashallah, we covered salah last month. We had everybody stand up, and then half of them took one step back, so everybody had room. And mashallah, it was an incredibly enjoyable experience. Like the smiles, like the whole vibe, everybody was like, it was amazing. MashaAllah. I'm hoping we can reproduce that. We learned something. Brothers, you saw them communicating. It was just MashaAllah. I can't say enough about it. So tonight, inshallah, Adabul Masjid. What are the etiquettes of the masjid and etiquettes of making salah with the jama'ah? And like same thing, interactive. So we want you here after Salat al-Maghrib, line everybody up. We're going to go take a look and see what the situation, we're going to move around. Okay, so as opposed to like you sitting there and listening to me drone on and on and on, we're going to actually do this thing together the same way we did last month, inshallah. So we're humbly requesting your presence. Jazakumullah.
Inshallah, after Maghrib Salah, inshallah. And then, of course, support for Kids of Gaza. There's an event this Sunday at Patawami Park in St. Charles. All the proceeding going to go towards the Palestinian kids. Join us at 9 a.m. Till 12. There's a lot of vendors are coming in. There's fun and food and fun event, inshallah, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Join us at Patawami Park, inshallah. So make sure you support this event. Also, please donate generously. We need your help and support. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من يطيع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصم فقد غوى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في دعائه اللهم إني أسألك حسن الخاتمة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام أستغفر الله لي ولكم أجمعين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونشكره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك وحبيبك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأزواجه وذرياته وصحبه أجمعين اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات اللهم لا عيش إلا عيش الآخرة اللهم إنا نسألك حسن الخاتمة اللهم بارك لنا في الموت وفيما بعد الموت يا مثبت القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة ونسألك من فضلك يا ذا الفضل العظيم عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأقيموا الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحق لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له محمد رسول الله استووا Please make sure that your rows are straight, there are no gaps in between you, and that your cell phones are turned off. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أنهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. Please make dua for the Shifa of Aqila Akhtar Ansar Durrani Shahida Khanum Farzana زياد الدين فيزان أكرم داتا خيزار أفتر علي فيزان أكرم كبران أكرم درشاد قطار سيد فيق علي سيد حمدان هدى نور Brother Khalid Nighat Ali, and also please make dua for the maghfirah of Abdul Wahid Kareem and all the deceased Muslims, as well as also the dua for Muhammad Kareemuddin Mumtaz Begum as well for his maghfirah. اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل حزنا إذا شئت سهلا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة ونسألك من فضلك هذا الفضل العظيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.